my mic so that people can hear me. Going to the other screen going. Here we are. Video mode, so now I can get things going here. So I wanted to just do another kind of test here. Looks like my mic is a little bit louder this time. Not sure. The Winamp is a little loud. I'm gonna turn that on. Controls here. 7 and 9%. Okay, so there we go. I think I'm happy with that. So what today we are doing? Trying to make work. So yesterday we built the cluster. We built 3 Proxmox nodes. We had the TrueNAS node. I'm going to start the TrueNAS just as our NAS device. And then yesterday I also built the VM for a backup server. Wanted to show that. So the VM for the backup server has four 32 gigabyte SCSI drives. One is going to be for the OS, but I think the installer for PBS is going to be pretty much the same as PVE, and it might not be a bad idea in this scenario to create a ZFS RAID of all those 4 drives. So again, it's something you need to think about when you're building. If you have hardware, so if you have a server that has data drives on the inside of the server, housing, and you have your data drives as an array on the front, right? Whether those are, what is it? If you had the M.2, so SATA is U2, I believe, U.2. So if you had like 2 U2 drives or your OS on the inside of a physical server, and you had an array of M.2 drives for your storage or something like that, you need to think about how are you going to do that? How are you going to set this up? And in this case, for this demo, for this VM, I think these 4 drives, we'll set it up as a ZFS storage, a large storage, and it'll do logical volume. I believe it'll do logical volume for a little root logical volume, and the rest for our storage. We should be enough to store the VM backup. Actually, it will be enough because the backups are going to be compressed. What's it called when you remove all the zero space? Basically a thin volume is the best way to describe it. And then we also deduplicate, so only changes the data will be But I also want to look at the features, because I haven't looked at PBS in a while, so I wanted to see the features of PBS so we can take a look at that and understand some of the functions there. So TrueNAS is up, and then we'll get our PVEs powered on. I have not started this PBS server, so I don't really. Remove it. The other 2, I did remove it, but that one I didn't remove it from. Again, that was my kind of problem. I went in here and right-clicked it and said, "Oh, removable drives," and just ejected it instead of actually ejecting it and removing it. Yep. VMware. Okay. Alright. Let's boot the desktop in here and look at stuff. Okay. Trying to sit back while I'm trying to do this. Get comfortable here. Alright, let's start up Firefox. Does the screen resolution change here? Preferences. Why? Why was it hidden? And why is it not set? So what did I have? I think I had an 80. An 80 yesterday, and I didn't hit save. So that was my problem. Good job, me. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. All right, there we go. We'll log in here. So we're gonna log in as root because I don't know. Yeah, we'll log in as root. Will correct password because I don't. Well, I'm gonna log in as root because I don't know exactly what. There shouldn't be any reason why backups are not going to be something that a non-root user should be able to do, and I don't remember. I think the only thing we couldn't do as not root was add a network device. So it's just. Anyways, so this VM is on our NAS. Start him and. Here and look, starting, and I want to create a duplicate of it. So here we are. Plug in. I want to clone it. I don't want to convert it to a template. I want to clone it. And I want to move it to 01. We can. Let's put it on the safety. Just for the fun of it. See what that does. So it's cloning the disk. That's going to take a while. While that's cloning, it's making it here first, and then it's going to move it over to PVE1. I don't know if it's going to try and start it. But while that's happening, let's go over here. I already have the backup server ISO in UBS machine. So we're just going to go ahead and yes, we will boot it, and I have to remember to hit. Was it delete? No, I didn't need to hit delete because I didn't have an OS already installed. So, yep, we'll install it graphically. like I said, hopefully it's the same installer interface. This on. I agree. So let's go to the options here, and I think we can do. We'll do a ZFS RAID 1. Yeah, that's fine. I think that's going to be good. I'm going to be upset if that's a mirror. I'm going to be upset if that's a mirror. So let's before we do that, let's go in here and take a quick look. Proxmox PVE. Let's take a quick look. What does the RAID Z levels mean? Minimum 3 discs, so it is not a RAID 1. RAID Z2. Nice if you find it. E-RAID. Why are we getting all the weird music? Alright. I think a RAID Z1 is going to be fine, and it's not a mirror pool. And probably that's going to be like a RAID 5. So I think I'm happy with that. Documentation is pretty good for most parts. OBS. Okay, so RAID Z1 is good. I'm happy with that. Those are pretty much all the same disk, so as long as it gives us enough storage, I'm happy. Angeles. Password. Doesn't matter, right? I don't like that we have to have the this email should not be required. I'm not going to have more than one PBS server, but let's turn on numlock, and then we're going to put this at 98. So our NAS is at 99. Uh-oh, forgot to add a second NIC. Remember that I thought I gave it 2 NICs. Okay, we will fix that once we boot it. Reboot it. The primary, and that's fine. So 98. Yep. So we're gonna put the backup server on the SAN also, because it's part of the storage network, so that any storage functions will happen across the SAN instead of across the LAN. Though it won't really affect performance, it's just a better more appropriate way to do it, I believe, is the way to say that. It's good to learn that segregation. If you have the ability to put across multiple NICs, yeah, do that. If you don't have the ability to do it across multiple NICs, then you're kind of stuck, and do what you can. But The good thing is USB Ethernet cards cheap. And USB 3 is PCI device. So take that into consideration. I might be wrong on that, but you're gonna take up basically just a PCI device in the end, and you know, your bandwidth is shared between multiple USB devices on the same USB hub. So having a gigabit Ethernet NIC on your USB isn't that bad. Calling. And we can go ahead. That stuff. Do I have any more? And then we'll go to unlock on 172.31.4.98 and 8007 for would be nice is if PBS could join the cluster to where you would have ability to create account. That'd be nice if it could join the cluster. Anyways, this is PBS. Let's look at the storage and disks here. We do have $33 gigs across, basically 34 gigs across 4 drives. DFS says we have 132 gigs free. Okay. There's your pool. Now, we have the second VM. Theft store. And one running on. VM01 is running on. Okay, but whatever. So VM101 is running on the NAS. 02 running on Ceph. And should come in here. And why would you turn that on? Why would you open that by default? No reason. Okay. I want to go in here and go piano host name. I'm suited. All right. Now. Why? Boot from the terminal, but I can reboot from the. I'll never understand that. Why I can go here, exit, reboot, without having permission. Have to have permission to do it from the. Never understand. Okay. Anyways, here we are. We have 2 VMs running. Doesn't matter. Just to show that they're running. Alright. Now we have not doing a whole lot. Let's update the PBS server. So there's no way to update PBS. Am I missing it? I'll click it. We go to the shell. We need to go nano. Let's see, apt. Not in there. Courses. Enterprise. So I believe we changed this to no subs. See how that works. Repositories, download.proxmox. Download.proxmox.com, PB, no subscription. Yep, I spelled it right. Yes. Download. Do that up. Download. That's what Enterprise gets you. Your channel. All right. Upgrade. Yes. We need to boot. Should reboot. I had more views into things. If we had a tape drive, tape backup. Do people still have tape drives? remember I used to manage the backups of one of my previous locations, and I had a wall of tapes behind me, pointing, of course, to the wall behind me. Here has nothing to do with. You all know what behind me means. I had shelves, two bookshelves that were all the way up to the ceiling, basically filled with tapes. All right. So I believe it did say we want to reboot. But before we do that, we're gonna add a data store. We're just gonna call this backing. Do not have storage. Cool. Reboot. Actually, I should shut it down and install the other NIC, and then reboot it. Good idea. I'm trying to find a way to do it without going to the shell. We could screw with certificates. Okay. Interesting. There's our no. I say that's where we do updates. Oh, here's updates. Here's updates hidden. Aha. Ah. There it is. We already have it added. There it is. So under administration, which is absolutely nothing like VE. Under administration, then under a tab here for some reason. I hope Proxmox, I hope you're actually watching this. You see how stupid this is. Now, should not have things that are not congruent like this. Oh. Okay. Anyways, yes, let's shut down. Wow. It went down fast. All right. We're going to add a network adapter. And that's going to be on the stand. So, again, the LAN network is where we're accessing. And we'll transmit datas. Fire that back on. How does that come back up? Grub took 2. We could bring Grub down to 1. That boots fast too. I have to say that boots. Alright, can I still networks. Here's our network. Now we're gonna create. Why do we need to create a bridge here? 10.0.0.8 auto start. Four. One and by the configs. Right. So I need to create a directory for storage. I don't like that. That's where would we put our pool? Let me look at this. So that doesn't make that's okay. Add a data store. Flash our pool. See what that does. It'll work just fine, probably. Look at that. Exactly what I thought would happen, I guess. So that's using the pool, the ZFS pool here. There's 131 gigs, which is actually 92. For this security, I believe. And we should be able to see in here in ZFS details. No, we don't see any details there. Before we do anything, what we want to do is check pool. Use the pool. Our pool. Z pool get all our pool, and I think we're gonna look here, and what I wanted to see deduplication looks like it's on. Pool. Goes ZFS. ZFS get all. And here's your mount point. Compression on. I think I knew that from when we installed it. Already doing some compression. Cool. Want to make sure. Twice. our data store, our pool, and let's do from the data center. We can manually back it up. Actually, before we try to back it up manually, we need to add Proxmox backup server. SO1. We're gonna do it. Root. Why is that red? Root at Pam. No restriction on which nodes. Data store is going to be our pool. Namespace root is fine. Fingerprint. Copy. So now all of the servers will be able to see the backup server as. I'm hoping it. Password wrong. Why do I keep doing that? But anyways, all of the nodes can now see the PBS server. In that particular pool, PBS. So now what we're going to do is we back up already. We did. We backed up. Wait. Where's my? Did do a backup here. Move the backup. No, don't restart. Okay. In PBS server, all you can do is backup. We want to do. We can do a backup. I don't want to do it to local. We'll do it. Put it here. Snapshot is fine. There it is, going, making the backup to the BBS server. BBS server, you're working hard, collecting that backup. It sees it's coming from VM100. And I'm happy with it doing backups like that, but what we really want is a schedule. So we want both VMs on a schedule. Every 30 minutes. Not. Gonna go to PBS. Doesn't matter which node. So any node can do this. We want the storage to go to PBS every half hour. Include the selected VMs. No notification. No emails. It'll always send an email, but it's fine. And snapshots, it's enabled, and we can make a comment. Half hour backups. Did I write hef? Retention. So here we can then say we only want. Let me keep options. Storage all back. Storage configuration. Nodes VZ dump configured. We want to keep one daily and keep the last two. Every day it will keep one, but it'll also keep the last 2 half hours. Okay. limit the bandwidth if we have issues with network. We can limit the threads. PBS will handle that itself. I/O workers in the new process default 15. So we won't change that. Fleecing backup write cache. Reduce I/O pressure inside guest. VMs only. Which is a good point because you can do a backup job. You can run manual backups. You can automate it too. You can run manual backups of a physical host to PBS. I think is also really. You can treat physical hosts like VMs. And then if you have a ISO, a bootable disk, you can then boot to this recovery and cover physical host like you would VM with some extra stuff. But anyways, backup write cache that can reduce IO. Why would this be? You're only going to do it to VMs only because. Would go to local storage first and then send it to the backup. Interesting. Missed no. Cool. So now how's that backup done? Backup's done. Go over here and we can look at the pool. Go content. I have one backup of EM100, and now it will start collecting backups. You can run verifications. It's been verified. But something. There's image. There was supposed to be a way to cover individual backup files backed up. So I wonder if you can't do that in PBS, you have to do it here in the host. Yeah, so you have to do it here in the host. You can do a file restore. It will load up the backup image, and you can look at the individual partitions, and now you can actually granularly restore files. But I don't think you could actually restore. No, you can just download it. So now if I look at that file that was stored, so that now you have to think about this. if you have an administrator who is administrating backups, they can come in here, go to the Etsy folder, and get your shadow file. Right. So you can download it. They can't modify the backup, but they can download it. Now they might have the ability to, if you're using an insecure password storage, or if you have a user who's using a administrative user who's using a common password, that password could easily be could potentially be reversed. So that's a thing to bear in mind. So when is the next half hour? So let's actually change this. We're going to change this. I change this to every 10 minutes. And then we'll run it now. We'll run both those backups. Quick. Why'd that finish? It was an incremental, so nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Go here, look at 100, and there's our incremental backup. Neat, I love it. And technically it's 16 gigs. Now, the other interesting thing that is we'll now have 3 16 gig images. But because of deduplication, because this machine VM 101 was a duplicate of 100, we should only be using about 60 gigs of space, even though we have 2 individual machines, which would look like 32 gigs of space being used. Subtracting any free space, we're not going to use that much. How much are we actually using? 1.9. Be nice if we could actually see actual size being taken up. Yeah, so we're only using 1.9, and that's largely due to the deduplication, even though yeah, it's done backing up. Okay. I can come back here to NFA to that the NAS, and we can delete the backup that was there because we've already got now more gooder backups. Oh, I wanted to play with the SDN. Okay, let's go to the data center here. And the SD. We did set up this SDN, right? Which is the virtual network, which is across all nodes now. And it is on this subnet. So, I I want a DH. Can I be there? This did do its own DHCP service, right? Yes, it does. Cool. So now, what I want to do, with these guys' network, I didn't do that already. I did. Okay. It is. Let's open up terminal here. It's not DHCP. It is dynamic. It is not getting a DHCP address. Work out a little bit. Okay. The VNet 1 subnet. Do I need to do any of that stuff? So do I need to do something VLAN? Probably really look. What if I turn that on? Does that change things? Service network. Work. Reboot you. Reboot you. If you reboot, do you then go DHCP and be happy? But you have to hit enter. Yes, tab. That's it. It's failed network. Should be very simple. Like nothing particularly particularly anything. BGP. Thankfully, the control. Well, wait, not used directly by a zone. I don't know. But some zones implemented a separate control and data plane that requires an external controller to manage the VNet's control plane. Currently, only the EVPN zone requires an external controller. Okay. Clearly. Network feature in Proxmox PVE enables the creation of virtual zones and network function. Simplifies advanced networking configurations and multi-tenancy setups. Separation, fine-grained control. Okay, so let's just test this since they both received their own, you know, address. Just try and ping. Let's see if they are connected to the same network. 692.419.98. Then at least we can tell if they are on the same, not on the same. Okay. 169.254, and they were in the same subnet. And they're in the same subnet there. So they are not on the same network with this SDN. Which, regardless of anything else, that should be regardless of everything else, I don't care about the DNS servers. I don't care about names, anything like that. I just want IP addresses, and all the nodes should have access to SDN1. Oh. Says it's available. Do I need anything in particular? The host? Dark and weird. I don't want them playing right now. I don't understand. The local network is okay. SDN1 is available. SDN1 simple SDN. There are other options. Let's do this. If I migrated it to PV2, does that change thing ability? It does. Oh, I don't get it. Should be able to have the software-defined network across all the hosts. This is the whole point. So what am I doing wrong? Right? Right? Uh-oh, something's got an IP address now. This is new. 101 got an IP address. How? You don't have an IP address. 101 is VM2. Booting you again. Better booting both of you. Okay. God, come on, Winamp. Why are you? Maybe that's just what I need to do. Let's move 100. Maybe I need to shut it down and then start it. If that doesn't. I don't get it. It's not making sense to me. I wish some of these default things that pop open would not be default things that pop open. Okay, if 101 is on the SDN, let's migrate. Let's migrate 100 because clearly that is how I put it on the SDN, right? Much. See if it. every second is just going to keep. Okay, you can stop. Data center, IPM. So there we go. Both are on that. In theory, the software-defined network. In theory, on different servers. Oh. It's again 16942. That should work. I mean, it should work. And they should be getting IP addresses. If they aren't. Sure, let's add this. Peers, I don't know what peers are. Okay, so help me. Here, a list of peer IP addresses you want to communicate with using the underlying BG network. But maybe this is the whole problem. The control, I need a controller, right? Am I doing this wrong? Do I need to have a software-defined network tool installed on the guest? I do know. I'm just going to say there needs to be better clarification as to how this works. Available as a common Linux bridge locally on each node to be assigned to VMs and clusters. Yes, okay. Should be it. Shouldn't be anything I need to do on the guest. Yeah, right. One setting that I was. Here. I don't know. Oh, I'm getting tired of trying to screw around with the software-defined network. Uh-oh. Backup job had errors. Backup of 100 failed. Configuration file does not exist. Oh. Uh-oh. Oh. This. Look at our backups. We should have some backups, right? Got some backups. How much storage are we using? 2 gig. The deduplication isn't giving us good numbers. Oh, stats from the last garbage collect. Let's do a garbage collect. On a garbage collection. Deduplication factor 76. All right, there. That's fun. Doesn't have an IP address. One 50. Yeah. No? Why would you ping? Why would that be something that happens? I just didn't like that. Did not run before. Please install the DNS mask path in order to use it. I mean, I don't need it because I'm not using DHCP, right? But screw it. Apt install. Get it done. Let's move on. Apt install. Anything to do with the reason why we're having issues? Okay. Go back to the data center here. Now it shouldn't error out. Yes, there's no gateway defined. There doesn't need a gateway to be defined. fine without one. Okay, change there. I'm sure somebody's looking at me who's gonna watch this and they're gonna go, well, that's not how you use software-defined network. You're missing this one particular thing. I mean, I don't need DNS. Come on, Grim. You're not installing the controller. So what do you think is gonna happen if you don't have the controller installed? Certainly. 172.31.4.100. I assume it's comma delimited, you know, 102. Yeah. Right? Doesn't look like a valid IP address. Oh, did I? Comma. Right? So, yeah, maybe that's all it needed to do. No. Let's do shutdown. That way. Boot them nicely. And we'll go back here to the data center. IPM. Here. Let's boot you from ground up. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. So in this. Oh, that looks different. Different. Yep. Nope. Didn't get an IP. It didn't get an IP address, but does that mean that it can't communicate? One 142.40. Hmm. 169. 1, 2. The ping? Nope. Does not ping. don't need DNS. I don't need a gateway. I don't need a DNS prefix zone. Should just be a simple VPN, simple SDN. I don't know. Like, I would say that the firewall is, you know, be doing something, but on the same machine and it had no issues there. When they're on the same machine, it works just fine. No, the firewall is not really configured to do anything. Their backups do. Even the last two, sure. Doesn't feel like it's doing it every time. Wish I could go through tasks and filter it. Cool. Let's see if we look here. Administration. Filter. Yeah, it's been backing up for the last. Yeah. We got a whole cluster going. I understood. Ends. What else can I do while I'm dealing with the S? Oh, I can do the high availability. Do some high availability. So, but go. I want 100 to be highly available. It can restart and it can only relocate. Always be start. Always be so what turning on adding a resource to high availability does is it added services. To the network, to each host node to the quorum is working on. Create high availability group. I don't think we have enough machines to really create a high availability group. Yeah. So he could stay, for example. We only want BM 100. Be on the HA group 1. HA group 1 has only PVE 1 and PVE 2 in it. So that is where it will go. And because it's not on there, now it should relocate it immediately. With the exception it's doing a backup. I think once it's done doing the backup, then it will reload. I think a backup takes precedence. Should migrate off of PVE 0 because PVE 0 is not in the nodes. It's taking a while to do a backup. Backup take. I wonder why it changed. And the backups are doing good until I changed it and put in the high availability. I wonder if that changed something in the let's create another group, HA2. Right? And only 0 and 1 is going to be. And then we're going to tell. Yeah, see, immediately it's going, okay, I need to migrate. So it's migrated the VM over to PVE 1. We're going to add a resource, VM2. And if we don't put it in a group, it'll go to any machine as long as it's good. Again, max research 3, max relocates. Let it relocate. 0 would, no, negative. Again, it's recognizing that it doesn't belong in PVE 2. So 101 is going to be migrated. Don't love how fast. 19 milliseconds to end to user. And it just moved the RAM, moved 259 megabytes of RAM, and because it didn't need to move the disk, it popped it right back. In a situation where you do have heavy RAM usage, it does take some time. It can do deltas, and I've seen it do multiple catch-ups of making sure it's getting the last little bits of RAM, last little bits of changing RAM, last little bits of changing RAM, all the way down to it's got enough. Boom, move it. And that it's kind of interesting to watch. So there's your grouping. So here's the thing, right? With M1, where's our storage? Our storage is on the NAS. So here's, because we have it in the high availability group, I'm going to power off. Boom. PVE 1 shuts down, or let's just say it had a power outage. The data center recognizes PVE 1 is down and recognizes it's offline. High availability should now bring it up on it. Oh. Not started. Doesn't like that it. But it should move it to PVE 2, right? It's an HA1. HA1 has 01 and 02, so it should automatically start it up on PVE 2 because PVE 2 should be seeing that PVE 1 is down. And it has access to the... Hello, cluster. You're not going to do it? You're not going to recognize that you have a machine down in high availability? Yeah, I would say it shouldn't take this long. There you go. PVE2 is taking it. It's now going to boot it from storage. So that took a lot longer. So yes, the machine had to restart from dead, but because the storage was on the NFS, the other thing too, didn't I change the Ceph where, yeah, it's undersized, but we have nothing missing. So yesterday when we had the configuration wrong, it was undersized and we had data missing. We had we had data missing. Now we have no data missing, even though one host is now using more space than we were, but we can still operate VM here running just fine. And the web browser. And then this guy is also happy and fine. Here. There's your high availability. And that took longer than I wanted it to, and I don't know why. Every minute that, every second of that, your high availability is eating away at your eating away at your percentage of uptime, right? Definitely if you had, so if you had knowledge that you were going to shut down one of them, as it comes back up, here stuff will come back up. As it rebalances, go, stuff's good. So I'm picking on these two because this right now we're logged into PVE 0 for our interface, right? So let's shut down PVE. So any VMs that were not in a high availability grouping would just shut down. What's gonna happen, I believe, is it should move VM 100. Not shutting down VM 100. No, you shouldn't be shutting it down. You should be moving it. You. No. Not be. Is that because downfall? Probably have. Okay, so let's stop that because I don't think DSL is gonna. Let's. Oh, whoops. Because I stopped the task, PVE was just like, okay, well, I'm going to shut down anyways. Thanks. Alright. PVE 1 should now pick it up. Here's out. That's lower than I expected. That's a lot slower than I thought. Straight. See that, so PVE 0 should be seeing the PVE 2 is down. Much So if I did it correctly the first, if I had this set correctly the first time when I shut down PVE2, it should have migrated on it. So I want it to migrate again, or to boot. There it is. Full 2 minutes. That's like, that was 2.5 minutes. For it to recognize that. Bring this guy back up. It's like, why do some of these auto open, but you know, Firewall doesn't? PVE2's back up. Let it fix it. So now we should have migration policy. Now when I tell PVE1 to shut down, it's going to say, hey, I have this VM in high availability. I need to move that before. There it is. It's migrated it. Now PVE1 can happily. I could have done it. There it is. It's gone down, and we should see it here. Down. I do like the high availability stuff. You wish recognized server sooner. We should recognize it sooner so that it can bring back up a machine sooner. But maybe 2.5 minutes is not that bad to you. Wonder if there is a way to bet there's something in the command line. Proxmox. I'll look it up. Cluster man. I'm gonna guess that there's something in here. The cluster management. That tells you, okay, after 30 seconds instead of 2 minutes, you know, consider a server down. Oh, it might be engrossing. Don't know. Look. if I can quickly find anything that says that there's a setting to shorten that period of time of when a server should be considered down. Because again, 2.5 minutes seems a little high to me. Let's see. Not seeing it in the notes. There. Proxmox. I want to modify the triggering timer from 120 seconds to about 60 seconds. The following is my modification. Client watchdog. Don't do that. Here's the current 60-second, 120-second values and the other time. Code base, which would be wrong. Furthermore, reducing it would cause more frequent fencing events, potential catastrophic. Seconds is a little long. So yeah, don't do that, I guess. Sure. That's where we are with it. Don't do that. But we are getting backups. And I could leave this running tonight. I don't think I will, but I could leave it running tonight and start collecting backups. Okay. There'll be only big deduplicate. So what else could I look at? Replication. Replicate. Okay, not going to deal with storage replication. You need to use that. You can probably figure that out. Own. The basic stuff we've gone over. What else can we do? We're actually at 2 hours. Screwed around with. Into. I wish I had that. I need to look at the SDN stuff. You know, firewalls are firewall stuff. It's your firewall. I don't think I need to talk. I could go into firewalls if we wanted to. When I do set up hardware systems to do tests, we can go with PCI devices and doing the PCI pass-throughs. Is that our sound card? But VGA adapter. So basically, oh wait. P0. Let's do PVE 1. No way, that's weird. And we can come over here to the VM, PVE 1. Add a pass-through device, PCI device. And look, there's the host video. We're gonna set it as the primary GPU. Oh, this will be funny. This ain't gonna work. There's no way this is gonna work. Just for kicks. Let's reboot this V. Reboot should add this. What might happen if this works as expected, this VM will not come up console interface. It'll come up as PVE1 because we passed through that virtual graphics adapter to what? It does not like I'm gonna shut it down manually, fully shut it down manually so that the VM itself gets that PCI pass through. Now it's added. We're gonna start it up. Crash. But if it didn't crash, like I don't know, it might work. Go here to this screen. Oh no. No way. Is it actually working? So we've passed through the virtual. No. No, that's not. No, it's not starting. It's freaking out because it's not starting. Because it doesn't. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't like this device. ROM bar. I tried to start it 3 times and it said, "Oh, I'm going to migrate it now." But it can't migrate because we've got it locked with the host device. Okay, it's going to try starting now. Without the ROM bar. Nope. What else can I do? PCI Express. It should have been PCI Express, right? Anyways. I'm just kind of screwing around. Because it's in high availability, it's trying to keep starting it. Let's go back here to the machine. It wasn't actually at the system, it was at the cluster level, which doesn't make sense to me. Where was that? Was it? Cluster, was it here? System. Wasn't at the VM. The device, the close permit. Resource mappings, there we are. So if it was a physical device, if it was a physical VGA card, actually pass that through to the VM, and the VM would take over the VGA card, the video card, and would output its video to the host's video display, which is kind of a neat thing to do. So you could install Proxmox, for example, on a laptop. Map your graphics card to your VM, to a VM, and boot that VM at boot time with high availability, so that now Proxmox boots and the VM boots and takes over your video card, and now you have, for example, a Windows machine running in a VM on your laptop in Proxmox. And all you see after Proxmox booting is the VM booting, and you now have a Windows machine, for example. Yeah. It's a shame it didn't work here. I wish I had some way to really give an example of that in this, but yeah, that's how it works, is doing these PCI pass-throughs. And I'm sure it's because anyways, and do move this device. No, it doesn't work. Oh, I see. That's how you can just come in here and device instead of having the map done. Anyways, you can do that with physical NICs too. So if you had PCI device. We'll go to the raw device here. You can select one of these NICs, these network cards. So these are the two network cards that the host has. If I added a third, I could have a third one in here, and then you can also do that with what is it, the forbidden router kind of a configuration. If you had you could do a clustered forbidden router. I don't like the forbidden router set up in virtualization, because unless you have the horsepower behind it, you do. So the problem with virtualizing network cards is disabled. The problem with virtualizing network cards is every packet now has to be virtualized in and out. That takes a processing cycle, at least a processing cycle for every packet. That is why you have network devices that are RISC-based network devices, reduced instruction sets, because they can handle packets much faster with less latency than x86 or 64-bit CPU. Just the nature of it. Doing the forbidden router, bad idea in that way. And I've ran it for years, before I even knew it was a forbidden router configuration. It had it where I had a WAN device on each one of my hosts, a LAN device on each one of my hosts, and I could have the router VM move across any, and it worked fine. It worked fine. But it was dog slow in certain instances. If you were torrenting stuff, the entire resource went dog shit. Just the way it is. Okay. Must be disabled and fixed first. How am I supposed to disable? Yeah, I think the only way it's not disable, it's delete the high availability. And re-add it. Add that one back to agent. And of course I do it exactly at the 10-minute mark. So now it's gonna sit here doing another backup. Failed backup. That's one thing backup ended, but finish flag is not set. I don't like seeing those. It's like probably not an issue because it's probably an old an old backup now, but it's forever logged in the data store. So we've done 15 backups. One. 2100. Failed. Backup finish. What we can actually do is go back here. Backups. We don't need it to happen. We need it now. Yeah, there we go. We set up a PBS server. We did backups. We set it up and did all that. We showed you high availability. Quickly went over some PCI pass-through that didn't work, but show that in a hopefully in a real environment with physical boxes instead of this virtual cluster. What else did we do? We tried screwing around with the software-defined networks, and that kind of worked. Doesn't. So, definitely need to figure that out. Code stuff working correctly. What would be nice, though, would be if Proxmox could fix the backup server to make it more like... If they could add the backup server into the cluster, as a server in the cluster, that would be nice. That would be top. I think if the backup server could also be Ceph server, that would also be I don't know. Yeah, I think Ceph would be appropriate as its own backup. Have a cluster backup servers. I think that's appropriate. I think that's I think I think it's appropriate to have something like Ceph, the backup location, have multiple Ceph clusters. Because right now all you see is which is fine between these three, or between in this data center, but something I'm wondering, how do you can you have multiple Ceph clusters? Have multiple clusters, that would be different networks. Thought. Without having different data centers, can you have stuff? They don't want And, well, the other interesting thing you can do too is have a Ceph member that has no storage in the cluster. That's another thing that can happen is I can do another PVE that just has quote resources, but doesn't actually store anything on PVE itself. Like it doesn't have enough disk that would only have, I could set up like a 16 gig drive, just install the PVE and let it have access to that Ceph and the NAS server. So I did that. Yeah, I did that on my home network before. It didn't have storage. It ran the backup server. It ran PBS, and that's what it was. It ran PBS, and it ran a node, a PV node. It had no storage for PVs, for VMs. It only had storage for backups, so it could use CPU and RAM as node, but it did not store any VM data directly on it except backup data. Which another good point here. PVE. Here we can do PBS. Go that into this. Proxmox backup. So a Windows client now too. Oh my. You'd just be able to install. I want to kind of neat. Proxmox backup client. Do really quickly. So we can do Proxmox backup client backup. File system. Post typing Proxmox backup all file backup ID PVE00 backup type post working credentials, another positive name. For example, we backup dash server 1. All file system PP. Probably more of that. Backup type of. I could do here. Let's see. Repository is going to be PBS 01 carpool. Theory, it should ask us for the password. Nope. File system through. Guessing this. User root at Pam. Root at Pam server port. I don't know. I think I need that. So let's look up, we're just gonna call it PVE 0 to do it. Maybe like that. Don't know what. Sure. So of course she didn't like that. Let's try 10.0.0. Is that gonna work? Oh, yeah, that's the machine. Yes. I don't know how that's gonna work. It's been a long time since they've done these back. So we can go over here and take a look at the pool content. It is at least showing that we have a host coming in. The host PVE00 is backed up. And back this stuff up. I wonder. Of course, I don't know how long it's going to take. But we are getting a lot of data coming in. It'll take as long as it's going to take probably a while longer than I want to sit. Wait on stream, but the point is that's another thing that you can do with Proxmox. Is you can install the backup client on most Debian machines. Pretty much any Debian machine, you can install a backup client, and you can push the host backup to your backup server. In the instance where you don't have a Debian machine, looks like they have a Windows client now that you can push a Windows backup to the Proxmox backup server. You can also do a live CD that you could boot any other machine to, and just another Debian live disk. If you could install the backup Proxmox backup client on a live CD, you could then, or on a bootable USB or something, you can boot to that and then back up any machine to your backup server. Of course, it's not like backing up a live machine to where you could do this regularly. I could put this backup client line into a cron job, and we could share a key to where it would always wouldn't require the password, where it would always regularly push the backup server, just like you would with a VM. So those are the things that you can do, and I really like that about Proxmox. So, I'm gonna let this run. I'm gonna end the stream because it's almost 10 o'clock here. So if you've been watching, I really appreciate you watching and hanging out. If you are watching after the fact, let me know what you want to see me cover. I've covered a lot of things already. I know I need to start going into certificates. I need to go into the software defined network because that's going to be a biggie that could be important. But yeah, if there's something in particular you want me to cover I haven't covered, I know I need to go in the command line interface. That's going to be pretty interesting, I think. Cover. 20 gigs. I can browse it? Hello. Yep, so there you go. You can also browse those and download files out of that. Neat. Granular recovery if you need. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Do the YouTube stuff. Like and subscribe. I am planning on doing more of a structured tutorial or structured course to setting up a Proxmox server and cluster and doing this stuff. So I want to know what you guys want to see in that kind of a course and that kind of a structured thing. However, you can watch these last 2 videos and see how, from scratch you can get this stuff built up. I'm waiting on some hardware, and I'm going to have some physical hardware that I'm going to be building. Probably do that here in a couple, maybe next. I'll do some video of the actual hardware builds instead of in environments. See how that goes. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but anyways, again, thanks for watching. I think I'm going to just go ahead and end it now. And yeah, so see you next time, guys.